It's time for Bring Your Own Lunch, a podcast for your whole face, with your host, Dave T. Koenig.
All right, come on in, have a seat, welcome. This is the Bring Your Own Lunch podcast at bringyourownlunch.com, the magic of iTunes, the majesty of Stitcher, and however you found your way to download this podcast, where we hear personal stories about the business. I thank you. As you heard at the top, my name is Dave T. Koenig. I'm an actor, writer, director, producer, comedian, all-around swell fella, and I do have my 2-year badge on Reddit. Yes, I do. And of course, I'm the host of the podcast you're listening to right now. BYOL is the hashtag you can use if you want to play at home. You can find us on Twitter at BYOL Podcast. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/bringyourownlunch. You can go to our own website, bringyourownlunch.com. And of course, if you really want to support us, if you really want to get involved, you really want to become part of what we're doing here, go to iTunes, subscribe, rate, review, share with a friend. Let's make this a big old party with a lot of people involved. That would be super, super cool. And if you need a reason to, I got one for you this week. My guest this week and next week is Dion Flynn. You may not necessarily be familiar with his name, but you may very well be familiar with his work. He is an actor and comedian who is a regular on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, and he is the man who portrays the most important and powerful man in the Western world. Dion is the resident impersonator of President Barack Obama on The Tonight Show and has been for a few years now, and does an amazing job as the president on The Tonight Show. But that's not all he does. He is a very multifaceted performer. He's a musician and an improviser and does amazing stuff. I met Dion, and it seems like it's kind of road at this point, but I met him through the People's Improv Theater when we were both doing stuff there several years ago, and we kept in touch. And it was a little while back, I read something that he had put up after he had gotten the gig on The Tonight Show that detailed his circuitous route to The Tonight Show, and I found it fascinating. And at the time I said, this is really, really inspiring, because it showed the power of maintaining positive relationships and connecting dots for yourself along the way. There's always that argument, hey, it's who you know in the business, but it's not necessarily who you know, it's who you go out and meet. And in Dion's case, he met Jimmy Fallon, but not like 2 months ago or something like that. He met Jimmy Fallon years ago, and they worked together on a sketch comedy show in Albany, and they maintained the connection, and Dion used that positive relationship he had to at least open a door for himself. Nothing was handed to him, but he opened a door for himself, and that's so important. I contacted Dion. I said, hey man, your story would be great for the podcast. And he said, yeah, why don't you come to the People's Improv Theater? I'm doing a one-man show and we can talk afterwards. And I was like, are you kidding me? If I do a one-man show, heck, if I do this podcast, heck, if I do the intro to this podcast, like what I'm doing right now, afterwards, I'm done. I'm spent. I'm exhausted. But Dion wanted to capture the feeling he had doing that one-man show. And I understand why after seeing it. The show is called The Only Brown Kid in the Trailer Park, and it's all about his life growing up in Maryland in a trailer park as the son of a black man and a white woman, and all the confusion and unique circumstance that alone provided him, and the challenges he faced along the way, and then how some of the trouble he got in because of some unresolved feelings, and the depths to which he went as a person, and then finding himself rising like a phoenix to recapture his talent and use his experience in a positive way to create tremendous art, and also to find his voice in comedy, which happens these days to be, as much as anything else, Barack Obama's voice, because his impression is stellar. But Dion's story is really inspirational for anybody who is not just an actor or performer, but anybody who finds themselves down the wrong path. And there is a way to take the path to where you want to go. It doesn't matter if it's now or if you think it's too late. There's a way to turn it around. And Dion's story is a beautiful example of that. If you want to think to yourself, is anything possible? Well, I dare say I provide you with some evidence in the name and the voice of Dion Flynn that anything is possible. And I'm not a religious guy and a slightly spiritual guy, but man, if you're looking for inspiration, here's a guy for you. And I'm thrilled about this podcast. And next week it's funny. I got there late on a Sunday night about a week and a half ago, and I set up the stuff. He had his wife's cousin videotaping the performance, and she's a professional director, I believe, or producer. I'm not sure which. We met briefly, but as we sat down to record the podcast, boom, there was a camera. So you'll hear me reference the podcast, or the camera that was recording the podcast in the beginning there. So Dion had a slight entourage with him. Not only that, we were doing the recording at the People's Improv Theater in a loft upstairs, and on the main stage there was a show going on. So you'll hear lots of activity going on around this podcast, and it's a lot of fun. It adds a lot of extra energy. The small audience we had for us, and then dealing with all the noise and the rigmarole that was going around the theater that night. It's just a fascinating time for me to be doing that podcast. So I'm hoping that comes across to you. So this week and next week, you're going to hear all about Dion Flynn, and hopefully it will encourage you to go see a performance of The Only Brown Kid in the Trailer Park, because it is just amazing to watch somebody bare their soul and in many non-flattering ways, just go ahead and put it out there, because that's what Dion does. And I may be over doing it a little bit, but I don't care, because he deserves all the credit in the world for putting that show together and putting himself out there, and the fact that he's doing it from a position of such strength these days that man, you got to give the guy his due. So we got that coming up in just a few minutes. I wanted to take a second to talk a little bit more about what I talked about last week, which is the fact that I booked a couple of shows, TV shows, that is. Last week I did one. That was the ultra super secret one that I still can't tell you anything about, other than the shoot went well. I enjoyed it, and the production was great. I can't tell you anything about it. I can't even compliment people by name, because it's still fairly hush-hush. In fact, my manager, Sid Levin, put up a little congratulations thing for some of her clients, including me. She said that I booked a super secret miniseries. So there you go. I can't really tell much more about that. However, I am on the eve of recording. I don't even know what you call it these days, because everything's digital. So I'm on the verge of digitally capturing an episode of a NBC mid-season replacement series called Allegiance. So I'm going to shoot that tomorrow. It was kind of touch and go. As you may have heard me mention, I have a couple of kids who are young. My wife's out of town, so what do you do with the kids when you have a booking? And in this case, my parents are helping me out, and I just wanted to say thank you to them, because it was great for them to step up and volunteer to take care of making sure the kids were taken care of, as they obviously can't take care of themselves, being 6 and 2. And I also would go to jail if I just kind of left them here with a box of cereal and said, you're on your own. So my parents are taking care of them. And I also want to thank the production itself for giving me a call time of 10:10 in the morning. It's not uncommon in this business to have a call time of like 5 a.m. And my parents would have been here at 4 a.m. for me, but they don't need to be here quite so early. So they are taking care of the kids, and we're in good shape. It was a very busy week last week. We had the New York Short Film Shootout number 4, the Super Scary Edition in honor of Halloween. That went off really, really well. We had a short called Dracula's Scare. That was fun. That won the Audience Favorite Award. And we are on the verge of announcing, in fact, I will announce a little bit, our next date for the New York Short Film Shootout. But that went really well. And then I found myself back the night after Halloween, back at the Treehouse Theater in New York City to take part in a very special show called Let's Talk About Sex, which is the second year in a row I've done that show. It was part of the 3rd annual Bad Theater Fest that is produced by Sean Wickens and Star Kendall, and I thank them for reaching out to me to let me do that show again. And basically the gist was that last year they had a show in the festival that backed out very last minute, so they cobbled together an improvised talk show, and they needed a host, so I volunteered, and they let me do it, and it was a lot of fun. So they had a show back out this year, and just as we did last year, we just stole the name from the show that backed out, so we did another show called Let's Talk About Sex. And it was an improvised talk show. A few people from the other shows that were on that night volunteered, and we had a good time. But I will say this, it's the Bad Theater Fest. It was improv, and I was sort of doing like a very, very, very slightly tweaked version of myself as the host of this show. And the audience going to a Bad Theater Fest is probably primed to think that what they're going to see is bad. So take that and combine that with the fact that I wasn't on that night, and I bombed pretty bad, I'd have to say. I mean, some of the people who were on stage with me did some really nice stuff, and I may be overthinking things, but I thought to myself, every time I opened my mouth, it was like the dumbest thing ever. And, you have that moment on stage sometimes, especially when you're doing comedy, where you think, these people hate me. But in the context of doing a Bad Theater Festival show, I wasn't sure if that was the worst thing in the world. So every once in a while, I think it's a good thing to bomb, because it really does take you down a peg and takes you off your high horse and reminds you that you're human. So I was grateful to bomb, and I was even more so grateful to do it in the context of something called the Bad Theater Fest, where I can then turn around and just say, hey, it was supposed to be bad. Not true, but I'll take it. Also, one more thing. I wanted to do a video shout out this week. I did one a few weeks ago, and I just wanted to give a shout out for the song What I'm Doing Here. It's a song by Lake Street Dive. You may have heard of them. They have a couple of videos out there that have gone fairly viral, and they have a really good CD that's out now. But this one particular performance has some pretty good views. I mean, over 500,000 views. But I'm like, why isn't this the most popular song and video that has ever been on YouTube? It's a very simple one-shot video of the lead singer of Lake Street Dive, Rachel Price, who is a phenomenal vocalist, just killing that song. And you wonder what the difference is between a really great performer and somebody who is fairly just mediocre. It's how much they seem to feel what they're doing. If you're committed to and you feel what you're doing, the people who are watching it will feel that too. And if you want to know what I'm talking about, all you got to do is watch 3 minutes and 38 seconds of Rachel Price singing What I'm Doing Here. You will be a believer. So I put that up on the website at bringyourownlunch.com, so you can check that out. And see for yourself what I'm talking about. It's just so good. And it came to mind the other day when I was thinking about just their overall stuff. So I wanted to share that with you. If you didn't know about it already, you should. Got some people to thank before we move on. Banuba.net. Speaking of good music, they're the ones who provide the music at the beginning, middle, and end of this show. I want you to go to banuba.net, BANOOBA.net, and find out where they will be performing live. Download some of their music. They are terrific. As I mentioned, the New York Short Film Shootout returns to the Treehouse Theater in New York City at 154 West 29th Street, and we will be back on Tuesday night, November 18th, for New York Short Film Shootout number 5. And if you have a short film, you can always submit it to us by sending an email with details to submissions@nysfso.com. And if you want more information, you can always go to nysfso.com. Then you can go to treehousetheaternyc.com to find out more about the venue where the New York Short Film Shootout will be held. All right, let's get into part 1 of my interview with Dion Flynn of The Tonight Show. Mr. President, if you will. He's got so much to talk about. We'd get into so many things. I think you're just going to sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride that we take you on, because it's fascinating, it's serious, it's funny, it runs the gamut, and I'm awful glad that you're listening to it, because it's just good stuff. So enjoy. Here's Dion. For me, this is kind of a first, because not only do we have an audience for recording this interview, we're also being recorded video-wise.
Right.
Yeah. So just tell, before anybody doesn't understand why they're hearing voice in the background, just tell us who's sitting with us.
Okay. This is Megan Shabona. This is my wife's cousin. We are now cousins, I guess, by marriage. Mm-hmm. And she is videotaping the show and this show and the show I just did, The Only Brown Kid in the Trailer Park.
which is something I just saw for the first time. And we have one more person here. Just want to give some context to the disembodied voices.
Megan's going to introduce her very dear school friend.
So this is Tara Drake.
Tara Drake, you're hearing in the background. So Tara, and Megan.
And I wanted them here because I'm starting to roll with an entourage.
Sure.
I just need that sort of feel of the energy of everybody around.
As well you should.
You feel free to laugh, because I'm going to make you laugh many times.
And after tonight's performance, I now understand your level of insecurity in terms of what you're willing to share with the world.
That's right.
So having that insulating factor of having two people here with you makes a big difference.
Right. Now, so what I heard you say was, I wasn't sure if you made a joke, because I share a lot of intimate details.
It was very much tongue-in-cheek, what I just said.
Right.
Yeah.
Because in the show, I go very deep and I share things that are, you don't hear people share everything.
No. And I think, in fact, I hadn't actually given you any reaction to it whatsoever. And I'm not just paying lip service here, but that was fantastic.
Oh, I appreciate it.
And I'm honored I got to see it, and because I know it's a work in progress, but you've put it out there. You said this was the last in a series of workshops, quote unquote, for it. That I got to see it at this stage, and then also just the fact that you were willing to put so much of yourself out there, and stuff that's not flattering, and for an actor who's got a fairly high profile gig right now. That's really impressive. So I just wanted to say that before I say anything else.
Well, as you say that, I begin to get a little frightened that maybe I shared too much.
No.
Once you put it in that context.
I don't, because
I thought it was okay until I really got it when I saw your face. And
my goal when I came here was to ruin your show.
That's a noble goal. Go for it.
All right. So here I will comfort you with this. You grew up in a very different environment than I did. Okay. You had a very different circumstance, and your later life was vastly different. And we'll talk about all that stuff. But there are two things, because we're fairly similar in age, that really struck home with me because it reminded me so much of my childhood. It was like you pinpointed two very specific things for me. First, I'll say is you mentioned Seal Test Heavenly Hash ice cream. Oh my God. I didn't know there's been part of me in my life that has been somewhat convinced that Heavenly Hash ice cream doesn't actually exist, that I must have made it up because you never see anything referenced.
You know what? When you're writing, when one is writing in their parlor alone and you're going down deep for the jewels and you're digging up the old items, because specific is terrific. We know that in our writing. You hope to do what I just did and maybe give somebody some kind of closure around an old ice cream brand. Really, that's the hope.
It was such a connection for me, because it was like, that's eating ice cream in 1980 is Seal Test.
Heavenly Hash.
Is Seal Test around anymore?
I have no idea. I haven't had any sugar since 98.
Well, we're going to have to talk about that, because that did not come up in the show.
I know.
You have not eaten
sugar, any refined sugar at all.
So anything that doesn't come naturally from the ground, sugar intact, you have not eaten it.
No refined sugar, no candies, nothing, no chocolates, nothing.
Oh my gosh.
No, and it's true. It's 100%. It's not just kinda or one time in 2004 when my mom died. No, never. Not once.
You have been sugar-free for that long. All right. So what I do with this podcast, I have a basic idea of where I want to go, but there are things that come up that I must spend time on.
Right.
We have come to that part right now, very early in it. Okay. So we'll jump around a bit instead of just doing the straight narrative. But in your show, you talk very frankly about your problems with drugs.
Right.
And you mentioned, or
I loved them. I loved them. I really loved drugs when I was doing them. Mm-hmm. And then they got to a point where I just was flipping out. I didn't share this. Is that going to be too loud?
We'll be fine. It's like it's atmosphere. We're at a theater. There's live theater happening as we speak.
Right.
I'm cool with it. So let's just plow ahead.
Okay.
All right. So you had problems with drugs, and you speak about it very frankly.
Well, I guess I'm being a little bit. I don't want to come off as too flippant, but I had a problem, but I loved them. I loved them while they were happening, until they didn't work. And the minute they didn't work, I hated them.
Yeah,
and it was terrible.
What would you say got you started on drugs?
Mike Naccarato and I don't know if I should name. I'll just put a family member.
A family
member got me high for my birthday, my 10th birthday, and that same year, somebody got me high. Mike Nacarado got me high behind the bowling alley.
What was the particular drug of choice?
Weed, marijuana.
It was all marijuana.
But it was Maryland marijuana, which shouldn't even be illegal.
So it's like yeah, it's like smoking lettuce leaves. I don't know. I say this because I prefaced everything by saying you and I had very different paths. I've never had an illegal drug.
What?
Yeah. See, but I've eaten lots of sugar.
Okay.
And to this day, I will eat sugar, and like you said, I love it.
Right.
It doesn't always work for me, but okay. So you started at a very early age. At 10. You were starting on drugs.
Yeah, 10, starting on drugs. There was a gap of about 3 or 4 years, and then I started targeting the prescription medication of the people around me. My grandmother found her prescription medication.
Okay.
I took something called Tylox, and I went to school. I don't even know what it was, but it had like these heavy eyelids and a little cartoon on the label. It said, "Do not operate, heavy machinery or whatever."
As you were wont to do at 15.
I had a hoe. Operated a hoe, not a backhoe. Also, a backhoe, not a black hoe, a backhoe.
Yeah, that's just not the crack whore you encountered.
I say in the show, most people would call her a crack whore. I would call her a person who was going through the same troubles that I was going through.
So you're very sympathetic to her, and I don't mean to make light of that.
But it's very
fair
important.
To people in your show.
I want to be because it's not a political move. It's like because there are things I'm still very narrow-minded about, and I'll say them out. But there are things that I've evolved beyond. Like I would have called her a crack whore at one point and laughed at it, but when you look into somebody's eyes and you're in that same situation with them and you are sucking on that pipe like it's either your oxygen or your deathoxygen somewhere.
Yeah.
You're looking for hope or something in that pipe. So like I was, you can see the people around you in a different way.
Yeah, and you're talking about literally being in a crack den.
In a crack den with no electricity, and some people didn't have pants on, myself included at times. It was a little nuts. Speaking of little nuts,
so I mean, the argument is, and I'm not judging anybody for anything that they do or have taken or anything like that. But
anybody who prefaces their next statement with "I'm not judging anybody" is
no. I'm very guilty of being judgmental, and I'm being judgmental right now, but I'm hiding it very well.
Not very well.
So I'm just not taking sides on this argument that I'm talking about. People like the pro-marijuana people say that it's not a gateway drug. The anti-marijuana people say it isn't a gateway. How do you feel? Is it a gateway?
Oh God, I don't know. Oof,
what was it for you?
Here, it happened to be the gateway that I passed through happened to be decorated with hemp leaves. That I'll say.
That almost sounds idyllic.
That's it. I was like traipsing through.
That sounds beautiful.
Well, the addictive patterns presented themselves much earlier because I was, I learned about sexual addiction. Once you learn how to release certain things in your brain, you can use other substances to do that, or you can use certain ways of thinking to do that.
Yeah.
Get people who love rage. That you can get high. You get high in the same way you do off of drugs. It's an addictive cycle. Whatever you put in there, whether it's sex, drugs, food, sugar, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What's interesting is that in this country, the most interesting thing to me is that we put them all in different categories, and some are considered good or socially acceptable, and some aren't. And I don't know what the line is. What's the line? The ones where you hurt other people, those tend to be the ones that people look down on.
Right.
The ones where you have to live off of the state or the funds of the city, they incapacitate you to that degree, people don't like. But if you use drugs that make you work hard and work 18 hours a day and whatever, nobody has a problem with those.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
that's interesting to me.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of. I mean, we could go down and speak about that for probably a good 6 or 7 hours, and
but the reason I bring it up is not to be like a debater about things but it's about that one item that you said. Do you feel it's a gateway drug? Well, I don't know. In whose eyes? In my one particular journey, like I said, they were present there, and then I found other drugs. But if these people hadn't introduced me to marijuana, it's almost like it doesn't matter. The people are interchangeable. You can't really blame anybody when you pick up an addiction because I can go to any city and find a massage parlor, drugs, alcohol instantly. I know I just have a gut for it, but for close to 18 years, I haven't gone there.
So, and by the way, you mentioned massage parlor, and you talk about it in the show.
Right.
It's not that you're addicted to having your muscles massaged by somebody. You were talking about the sexual stuff,
right?
And which is a very funny story. But I don't want to talk. I don't want to ruin anything.
Yeah.
Somebody gets to see the story
like that. But see the show.
Yeah,
see the only brown
absolutely.
kid in the trailer park, and you will hear the only 4 words you never want to hear from a woman that is giving you a happy ending.
And it's a tragic story. So you found yourself really rock bottom. And what I was trying to hopefully figure out is how you go from marijuana to crack or something. Is that the most serious drug you ever did?
Yeah. Because there's no old crackheads if you think about it.
No.
People don't live long. And luckily, you either fall more deeply into it, lose your teeth, lose your life, lose your mind, or you find some other road. And because I was in a graduate acting program at NYU, they saw me. They were like, hold up, you're missing school. I was missing for a day and a half. Mm-hmm. And people around me cared. That's what I saw. That's what's important. And that's what the addict see because of the early things I talk about in the show. I'm not trusting people because of what's been going on around me as a young kid. So you see how that happens? Then you don't trust people. You find yourself preferring isolation over being with other people. Mm-hmm. Even when you're with other people, you're not really being intimate or trusting. You're just putting on a face and performing. Yeah. So that's the person that's, any National Geographic show that shows you a herd of animals will show you that the ones on the fringe are the ones that get taken out.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
And that's the precursor to addiction, I think, is the isolation, that fringe behavior. Predators, pedophiles, they learn to look for the ones on the fringes. Mm-hmm. The ones who are not being taken care of or looked out for by anybody else. Oh, that one limping hyena on the fringe, I'll get him.
Yeah. Well, thankfully, and I'm sure you are very happy to be able to report that you didn't become one of those limping hyenas on the fringe. So you were able to, despite all these addictive behaviors that you found yourself involved with, you have a massive level of success. And even steps along the way, you mentioned during the show that when you were on stage, you were great and you felt awesome and you were excelling in that way.
Well,
but at the same time,
that sounds like what you just said. Sounds like I said in the show that when I was on stage, I was masterful and fantastic.
No. You felt
great.
that way inside. Yeah. And you were getting the great response that you were looking for.
Right.
And then you were able to progress from there.
Well, I believed that when you're on stage, I believed early on that when people were like laughing or cheering for you, that they loved you or that they liked you or something.
Right.
You were, there's something about the attention that we want. Because I didn't really feel like I was getting it. Now, it can sound like I'm saying my parents didn't give me the love and the attention that I needed when I was young. And so that made me go do drugs, Dave. Right. But that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I was an addict.
Yeah.
So I needed attention just as much as anything that alters you, I need. Mm-hmm. And I need it too much.
Sure.
Until you find something that you need that you can use. Because there are things you're supposed to need. And I think that's my life has been a process of finding what are the things it's okay to need and that don't hurt you when you take them in. It's okay to need things. I didn't know what those things were.
Interesting. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And you just, the way you laid out the show is brilliant because you took several different tacks on your own life through different characters. There's an old man character who kind of like sets the record straight, and like you just said, you don't allow yourself to get too far into self-pity.
Right.
Was that a conscious decision?
That was something that they taught me when I started to get sober. They said, you know what, you pay too much attention to yourself and you're too worried about things that haven't even happened yet, and you have too much fear and stuff like that going on. Check that out. When you take away, it's like, here's what happens. You're scared. Like in the show, I talk about some childhood fears. Big, like Steven Spielberg fears. The big tree outside the window and poltergeist. Like I had stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But in my own particular, it's the version. What happens is those things scare you to death when you're young. And there's nobody can save you in the middle of the night.
Right.
You're just there by yourself. And it's ungodly. And you deal with it. You learn how to deal with it in some way. But what happens is when you step into that solution that you've come up with yourself, whether it's eating or masturbating to fall asleep or whatever you do in drugs later, you're frozen. some part of you that's supposed to be developing normally and getting through fears and seeing that they pass doesn't ever learn that. And you become like a man trapped in ice on a 1930s expedition up the Himalayas. They find him in the late 60s. He's still frozen. His watch still has the same time on it.
Right.
You know? That's what happens when you let go of the drugs and the alcohol. You're still at some level not 5 minutes past when you first picked it up. Your body's an adult. People are expecting adult things out of you, but you are really still just a tiny kid who never actually let life educate him and show him that things will be okay.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest loss, I think, and you don't even think of it. It's like, I'm just eating too much sugar. I'm just gaining 100 pounds. I'm just smoking weed. Well, okay, that's okay. Eventually it doesn't work. And you see, okay, to navigate and have a happy life, it can't just be ringing the bell, the B.F. Skinner bell every time I want a new injection of something.
Right. It is interesting because I think for a lot of performers of different types, comedians, actors, like that attention they crave or that response they crave, it is a form of addiction. I mean, and even in your personal relationship, I'll admit for me, there was a time in my life where I realized I had to, stop trying to be on. I always got great response. I made jokes and people would laugh and everybody's like, hey, it's great. But then I'd go home and I'd be like, nobody knows who the hell I am. And I kind of had to let go of that. And you kind of sort of addressed that a little bit too, even just a second ago where you were saying that you wanted that response and you were addicted to that response as much as you were addicted to anything else. And so bringing that all together into a show, it's sort of there's a little dichotomy there, I guess, because you're doing a show about how doing shows is in and of itself an addiction. Right. How do you resolve that for yourself?
Because it's the angle of approach, like the attitude, the attitude towards, if you need it with a capital underlined N and you don't know that you can get along without it, then it's not good for me. It wasn't good for me because then what happens is, I'm getting an opportunity to entertain, then I can't not have it. Nothing can threaten it. I become very defensive if anybody tries to take my acting or any opportunities away or my lines. There's no generosity there. I'm just trying to get, you're just a dark-eyed, bags under your eyes junkie trying to get your fill of stage time.
Yeah.
Once you learn you can live without it, and I went without it after that Hamlet story that I tell. When I was in Hamlet at the Public, I was one of the little ancillary characters in Liev Schreiber's Hamlet in 99, 2000. And I had the epiphany that I talk about in the show. I let go of it for a long time, acting in general. I did a couple more things, let go of it. Actually became a life coach for 7 years. I had a successful life coaching business, which was called Career Maps. And I just sat and I watched people work through their problems. I helped them to the degree that I could. Because when you stop doing sugar, your psychic abilities come back. Because we are all like naturally psychic. We have powers.
Right.
And it's the most sensitive people sometimes, the artists, that the vision of life that comes at them is so acute. It's so intense. They try to mute it. And it's ironic because it's the same people who are the shamans for the culture who need to be getting on stage and on film and representing these emotional states that other people can't even access.
Right, yeah.
And then when you're doing that, to speak to what you said about, you spoke about a very poignant moment. It's the moment when you get off the stage and where do you go?
Yeah.
It's dark. Nobody's there anymore. You're walking home. You're taking the subway. There's nothing lonelier than that moment.
It's the depression after a show ends.
Yep.
That it's really hard to sometimes bounce back from.
Yep.
And I started getting that way back in high school when theater shows we did in high school would end. And it was like for the next 2 weeks, I'd be like, I don't know what my life is anymore.
Yeah.
And I think definitely that, because I have an addictive person. I may not have ever done any illegal drugs, but I'll admit to having an addictive personality. And I've had times where I've done things to excess and been like, well, I really have to back off here. Do you run into other people who are in this profession who have kind of like you've connected on that level with, where it's like, yeah, we are sort of addicts in a way. Have you had that experience?
Yes, there are many people that are in recovery officially that are in show business, and people that need it and don't really want it, and then people that are functioning the high functioning people I was talking about aren't just on Wall Street. A lot of them are in show business.
Yeah. What
I've learned to do somewhat is to just let people do what they're going to do and not try to interfere, because I've learned that about I'm not a preacher. Right. That's why I do my show.
Yeah.
I'm not telling anybody anything prescriptive about how to live their life, because I think think about it. If I hadn't gotten the message that I got from the woman in the crack house, if I didn't get the message that I got from the woman in the whorehouse,
right.
My life probably, I wouldn't have a baby now. I wouldn't be married now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's amazing how far your life has come since you sort of had that, I guess, what they would call the moment of clarity, right?
The moment of clarity. Yeah. People, it was a series of things.
Yeah.
When I hit that moment and that I talk about in the crack house where this woman conveys this weird message to me on Mother's Day weekend.
Yeah.
And it was the last time I ever did drugs. And it was, like I said, 17 and a half years ago, May of 97. I was just, whatever the message was, it's in the show.
Yeah.
It just blew me away. I think whatever is good and pure and holy and redemptive in this universe, I think it can't be stopped by a crack house. It doesn't matter where you go. It's going to come. It's like water.
Yeah.
It's going to get in. It's going to get to you. If there's something, a message that's meant for you, you're going to get it. And you can run from it all you want. It's in the oldest Bible stories. And I learned Bible stories. You learned that in the show.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't really live necessarily by the Christian Bible necessarily. However, there are great stories in there about like people trying to run from their the God-given, for lack of a better term, callings or destinies.
Sure. I mean, I think there's wisdom to be gleaned from everything out there. So
all the wisdom traditions.
Absolutely. I mean, you can't really fault anything for trying, but it's how people interpret things, I think, becomes the problem. So if you found solace in that stuff that you were asked to learn when you were younger through the church, I mean, that's great. Good. You were able to take something positive from it.
The thing is, I guess the reason I explained that, and I said I don't necessarily follow the things of the Bible, is because there's so much negative stuff out there about the individual, Christians, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not denying Christ like Peter did, and they say that in the Bible. There's a story about
What's funny to me is that
I don't even know him. I don't even know the guy.
I recognized SEAL Test Heavenly Hash, but you start talking about you're like, yeah, you know what Peter said. I actually have no idea what Peter said.
How did you grow up, Christian?
Well, that's one of the similarities I feel with you, and it's actually kind of almost a theme with people on this podcast accidentally, is that I grew up the son of a mother who was raised Catholic and a father who was raised Jewish. And it's not so obviously, everything is only skin deep, but, I felt that lack of knowing where I fell. It's like it's not necessarily the exact same story, but it's a similar idea of where do I belong? So, my parents didn't ever force either of those religions on me. And instead, they just sort of, kind of gave me the old do-it-yourself Bible kit. And it's like, we're going to try to teach you as many good lessons as we possibly can find and expose you to good stuff. And hopefully you'll become a good person out of that. And I believe that. I believe in that. But at the same time, it sort of created that sense of okay, I'm not this, I'm not that, so what am I? And you talk about that in the show also, where it's like you're kind of checking off other,
right?
Mm-hmm. So I didn't mean to take you off track with that.
No. Look, as I'm listening to you, I'm realizing somebody in every wisdom tradition or religion, whatever you want to call it, somebody has a spiritual awakening firsthand. Mm-hmm. Boom, the Buddha, Jesus.
Right.
Somebody wakes up. And then what happens is everybody builds a big scaffolding around that original wake up. Mm. And then they say, this is what he said. And that's what he said. Oh, and you got to do this and that. And the other thing, here's what he meant and blah, blah, blah. But it becomes a scaffolding around an experience that everybody, I think, has a right to have.
Yeah. And that's, I think that's what I was saying before, where it's like you can glean wisdom to apply to your own life from anything. I mean, It could be Tom and Jerry cartoon. It doesn't matter. As long as you can find that little something that gives you a nugget of truth that you can carry with you. I don't know how many are in Tom and Jerry, but
I think Tom and Jerry, the black lady's legs, her baggy stockings. I mean, there's truth there.
You know what? I saw the light, man. I did see the light. I did see the light. So,
but wait, I want to go back. Sure.
No, man, let's do it.
Because what I'm saying, I don't think that I conveyed what I was trying to say about the experience. There's a central experience of awakening that you can have.
Yes.
Everybody can have it. It's up to each person. And it's such a powerful thing to have. It's almost nuclear. Mm. Think about it in nuclear science, which I know almost nothing about. Mm-hmm. But I know that you could take a small thing like an eraser on a pencil. And if you split the atoms of that effectively, Kaboom. You can blow up a whole city.
Yeah.
Contained in one little eraser. The same thing in an act of awakening. If one person wakes up, it's so powerful that all the people around them can wake up and be changed by that person's awakeness. And if people aren't awake, they don't even understand what I'm saying right now.
But I get it.
Yeah.
Because what actually made me think about, and it's almost ham-fisted way to bring your story, bring more of your story into it. But, we went through something in 2008 where, we as a country had an awakening where we could do something like elect somebody who was not a waspy dude as a president.
Right.
And you
reparations, man, reparations. Don't get mines. You have a black president.
But so nowadays you're very much paid to portray Barack Obama,
right.
President Barack Obama, if I'm being proper.
Right.
Do you feel the responsibility in any way to honor that idea that this is somebody who is of very historical significance, whether you like him as a president or not?
No, I hate Barack Obama, and I hate to even, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. No, it's a great question. When it happened in 2008, Ali Farnakian, who you had on here, he said to me, he was a former SNL writer. He said, you got to go to SNL and you got to audition because they're looking for an Obama.
Yeah.
And you look like him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I said, no, it's the first black president. I'm not doing it because it doesn't matter. You can't make fun of that guy. It's because all my impersonations were based on anger for a long time. I had to be angry at somebody. There had to be some injustice that I was trying to point out. That, basic playground mockery. You know what I mean? There's anger at the heart of that mockery. So I didn't want to have any anger towards him or find it or mock him in any way. So I said no. And Ali even said to me, he goes, are you sure you don't want to do it because of that? Or because you just can't do it. And it was a combo. Because his voice sounded very hard to do to me.
Yeah.
Which I never have gotten his voice down.
Yeah, I will disagree with you with that because it's almost scary watching you on stage doing his voice and hearing how similar you've gotten his patterns, his tone, and all of that stuff.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, of course, that begs, the idea that I would do it right here, right now.
I'm not going to make you do that because if anybody asked me to do my James Earl Jones, we'd have,
Oh, you do James Earl Jones?
This is CNN.
That's very good.
Yeah. Well,
let's do a James Earl Jones off. Hold on.
okay.
Ready?
Go ahead.
Luke, I am your father.
Moonlight Graham.
Simba, my son.
Luke, I am your father. I can't remember any lines.
I'm in this. This is CNN.
That's really good.
You like that?
The New Jersey Bell Yellow Pages. No other book can match it.
That's good. No other. That's very good. That's right.
Frankly, my dear Scarlett, I don't give a damn. Now,
that's Paul. That's like Paul. What's his name? Paul Robeson playing Clark Gable's part. Rhett Butler.
Yeah, when you don't have something to tag onto like that, like a real line that he said, it's really hard.
That's good, man. But you are a white guy with white vocal cords, and you pulled that off.
I like to think I have a little bit of soul.
You do.
Just a little.
No, definitely. Well, maybe you have to trace back into your lineage.
I probably do have. And I would love to find out. I will say that publicly right now that I would love to find out that I'm far more interesting than I actually am.
Now, that's the thing today. You know what I mean? There's this reversal. You got to understand. There's this reversal now where white guys are really getting it. I am a white guy.
Yeah.
People look at me, they go, okay, he's brown. What's he talking about? He's deluded.
Right.
I am a white guy and I am a black guy at the same time. It's very bizarre. And that's what the show is about.
Yeah.
It's about riding that weird racial line. I do that one part about what if I had had a black mother or what if I had had a white mother?
Yes.
And I was a white kid coming home to a white family.
Yeah.
Or a black kid coming home to a black family, but I was a biracial kid coming home to a white family. It gives you a very unique perspective. Here's why. I would sit up late at night and I would be in an all-white home listening to white people talk and having access to them that other black people did not have. And I saw that white people do not spend their late evening hours hatching schemes about how to destroy black people. And other black people don't get that. Yeah. And then when I had black friends in the army and I just sort of mixed in and looked like I was black, I saw the same thing. We were up partying, drinking, and having our fun. We weren't plotting against Whitey and how to take his land.
It's shocking when you find that out. But I will say, having grown up for the majority of my life as a white guy, those first 2 years were a little bit weird.
A little questionable.
Yeah. Well,
Well, your color flicks on and off. It doesn't decide until you're like 2.
I always call myself translucent. Oh. So whatever's behind me is just going to be shown through.
Right.
But I will say it's the couple of people who just want to screw it up for everybody. Because I remember I worked with a guy once who would, every chance he got, would close the door behind him and start making black jokes. And I was somebody who had just like some of my best friends, and I don't mean that as like lip service. I mean literally my best friend at the time was black. And for him to come in and say that stuff to me, it was a personal attack, even though I'm not black.
Well, you were translucent. Your black friend was behind you, so you were black in his book.
That's right. But it was the other way. It was like where he's like, oh, we're all white here. Let's start talking about the jokes.
Right.
I was like, you are such a dick. You're ruining it for everybody. But at the same time,
now let me tell you one.
Yes.
What I would do is I would watch shows like Geraldo or Phil Donahue or whatever the talk shows were of the day, and I'd see Ku Klux Klan members or whatever on
yeah.
And I would listen very carefully for any sort of humanity or kindness. I was always listening because I knew that what we thought they were going to say was that nigger did this and he did that, and we're going to kill him.
People can't see the one crossed eye you did there.
One cross eye. My one eye got crossed at the cross burning. That's why we call it cross burning, because it burned across the eye. And I would listen like hungrily for any kind of like kindness in this person, because I knew there was humanity there.
Because this was me. Were you a sucker for redemption stories on TV and film?
Well, you say, because I don't know if I can sign on to that contract 100%. But aren't we all? Well, I was very compassionate growing up. I would pretend if I saw a kid with thick glasses or a crossed eye, just to talk about crossed eye.
Okay, yeah.
I would feel so bad for them, so intensely compassionate and bad, that I would tell myself they had said the word nigger so that I could distance myself from them.
You remember used it in reverse for karmic reasons. Interesting.
Not exactly. It was mental distancing.
Okay.
It was like, Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying?
You gave the universe a reason to give that kid a crossed eye because they had obviously done something bad.
No, I don't think that's it. No, I don't think that's it. I think I told myself they called me nigger so I wouldn't feel so sad for them. I lied to myself about who they were because I had such a natural compassion for people. So to answer your question, your question was, were you a sucker for a redemption story? Maybe not, but I had such a compassionate heart. I had to actually pepper my own thoughts with racial slurs to distance myself from fucked up people, because I just wanted to save everybody, because my mother was all sick and stuff. So it was a very I actually should have been a doctor, and I refused to go be a doctor.
Well, not if you're not going to eat any sugar, because I don't know if anybody would trust you. but I mean, you're an incredibly intelligent guy, and the show shows that very well.
I promote myself. That's why Carlton has to take me down a couple pegs, because I promote myself as being very intelligent.
That's very true. I mean, it's like it is something that I noticed is that you don't give yourself you don't let yourself get away with anything during the show, and that's very interesting to me.
Do you think it works?
Absolutely, absolutely, because you sort of need that voice of. Because it could be a pity party,
right?
Otherwise, right? And without that sense of everybody's got their thing. It's what you're going to do about it.
Exactly.
It just becomes like, 100%. Woe is me. Yeah.
Well, check this out. There was a teacher. One of my favorite teachers in school said, "Art is this." He says, "Do something to that. Do something to that." So anything, like you could take a dollar bill, right? Fold it up and paint it blue, then it's art. Because you've done 3 things to it. If I'm just telling you a bad story about me in the trailer, that's most people every day who walk by. I did this thing and the other thing. Everybody's always talking about how bad they got it.
Right.
But alchemy is, everybody's been searching for alchemy, the ability to turn base metal into gold for hundreds of years, because it's a spiritual myth about how do you take a shitty situation and turn it into gold for yourself. Right. Everybody can do it. If you fall for the first temptation is to take your pity story and try to panhandle on the street. That's the most basic level of commerce.
Yeah.
I had it bad. I watch people as from 2 blocks away who were panhandling, because I panhandled when I was a runaway.
Wow.
When I was 17.
Hey, I was going to ask you. Okay, go ahead. But
you watch me from 2 blocks away. I watch women. I see like this one woman in particular. I just remember because like 2 days ago, she was like, just baba. But as she saw another wave of people coming, she like got on the face.
Yeah.
Oh, how she was
Yeah.
gonna, you're committing to telling the world a terrible thing about yourself. And some people think, I'm not saying she's bad. I'm saying she doesn't know that that's not the only way to attract.
it's misguided. It's nothing else.
It's misguided. But I've been there, and I'm there right now. When the Dalai Lama looks at me, he goes, God, poor Dion. He's putting on that face, whatever my face is,
Right.
is unevolved compared to him. Because it's all in cycles up the mountain. Everybody's going up, around in a circle, up, till they get to the folded-legged man on the top.
I think if the Dalai Lama came in and told me how shitty his day was, I probably would be I'd be pissed off.
Well,
because you just know he's doing it for the money.
First of all, if he came into the People's Improv Theater at 11:30 at night, I would wonder where his protection was.
Where are his handlers?
Where are his handlers? What's he up to?
Well, they got some pretty good pizza around here, I guess. That's maybe. So okay, you mentioned that you left in the show. You mentioned that you ran away from home at 17,
right?
And you made it from Maryland, where you grew up, all the way out to L.A.
That's right.
I mean, you don't go into a lot of detail, so it definitely was a minefield. Not a minefield. It was a gold mine of questions for me. Okay, so how you said you stole a little bit of money? How much money did you steal from your parents?
I stole $400 initially. And I took my mom's debit card, and I bought plane tickets for me and my friend from high school. We flew out. We lived with his mother for a little while, and I used my mom's ATM card when I was on the West Coast. Okay, but I thought because I was in California, I swear to God, I thought it was taking money from someone else's account.
Oh my God!
But it wasn't. And she went to take my grandmother. Come to find out, years later, she went to take my grandmother out to dinner and they found out that I had taken all the money from their savings account.
Holy smoke.
It was terrible. I ended up paying them back a certain amount of the money, all that money plus $100 when I was in the Army, like $900 because it ended up being $900 plus $100 for interest. But
that's when flights were really cheap too, weren't they?
What's that? Flights?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was like $400 for both of us to go to California.
I'm not going to say that was good, but yeah, I mean,
I got a good deal. I got a deal.
It could have been worse.
I shopped. I didn't have Expedia back then. I just was, I called around.
So you did have a destination out there. You lived with your friends.
I lived with my friend's mom. She let us live there. We smoked really powerful weed out there. We watched
Another
Captain
funny
Kangaroo.
story, yeah.
We watched Captain Kangaroo. We gave her money. She went away. His mother smoked weed.
Okay.
Went away. She came back with this little chunk of weed. We were like, wait, in Maryland, you get a trash bag for $25 that we gave her. She brought back this little chunk of weed. We broke it up. It was all wet. And we was like trying to break it up and make it into a joint. Couldn't even smoke it. It was just like, but when we finally got it lit, we were gone. And we were lying in her bed watching. She wasn't there. It was just the two of us. She'd gone to work and we were just watching Captain Kangaroo she lives in a hotel room.
This story just gets better.
And the TV. I lived in a truck with a dude named Elijah. That's what Carlton is based on.
Oh my God.
He pissed in a peanut butter jar. That's what he would do. In the back. I'd be like, what are you doing back there? He's like, I'm going to the goddamn bathroom.
That's what he did for a living?
No. I don't know how he got his money, but he lived in a Jeep, a 73
He obviously
Jeep.
lived well.
He did. He had his little peanut butter jar. He got pissed off at me. Well, he pissed, and he threw all my stuff back out at this other hotel where we were then living. And anyway, I lost track of all the people. And then I was by myself, and I was sitting on the beach one night in Santa Cruz, California.
Yeah.
My friend Terry had left to go back. He was going to join the Air Force. His mother wouldn't have me around. Elijah kicked me out of the Jeep. And I was on the beach, and the song Somewhere Out There was famous. Somewhere out there.
The American Tail.
American Tail.
That one, okay, yeah.
Beneath the pale moonlight, someone's thinking of me. That song was in the air in 87, which is when this was.
Yeah.
And I was thinking of my mother, and I just started crying. Why? Stillness. You'll notice I use the word pause 2 times. It's used in Hamlet's to be or not to be speech. Pause.
Right.
Because when we pause, we're caused to feel and get new thoughts. We're always busy thinking and running and going and doing and drinking and sucking and fucking and doing whatever we can do to just like make it, right?
Yeah.
But if you stop and you let the answers come, they do. They arrive. It's unbelievable what silence and a pause can do. So I found one on that beach. I didn't mean to.
Right.
And it was honestly probably the first pause I'd ever taken in my life. Sitting on the beach, and I've started sobbing because it really did upset me to run away from home.
Yeah.
It was very unsettling. It wasn't just a radical, crazy, rebellious move to hurt people. It was a misguided. I just wanted to get away. You know?
Yeah, and it's very clear throughout. No matter how much truth you bring out about your childhood and whatever difficulties that caused you, that you do have a lot of love for your mom and your stepdad. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but you have at least
very much so. My stepdad is still alive.
Oh, he's around.
Alive. He's around. We go to visit him for Christmas. I love him.
Oh, that's cool. It takes a lot to raise somebody else's child as though they were your own. So,
I was aware of that back then.
Yeah,
I was aware. And I said that to my mom one day. I said, after it sort of started to come out, I said, "Yeah, Mom, you know this white guy. He's adopted us, and she adopted me." Freudian slip, but that's how it did feel like. It felt like he had adopted us. But I think she was carrying me like a football over the line. She was like, "I'm just going to put him in a white family. There, boom. Now I can, get on my, addiction." Because she was on a 27-year addiction after that.
Yeah.
I'm saying a lot of different things. I'm saying it as if all listeners have seen the show, and I'm speaking a very shorthand. And it's
but that's okay. But pause for a moment. Pause for a moment. I mentioned earlier that there were two things in the show that really hit home for me.
Yes.
And the other one is I'm not 100% certain about. I know about the ice cream. Believe me, I know ice cream.
Right.
The other one I'm not 100% sure about. So I want to find out if I'm right about this.
Right.
You talk about whatever happened to Baby Jane.
Right.
The Betty Davis film, and how it scared the bejesus out of you, and you tell people during the show what to do with that film.
I say don't see it.
Okay, so you recommend against anybody seeing it. So if we spoil it now, we don't want you to see the film anyway.
Yeah, don't see it.
Okay, so you said that just her performance in that was scary enough to haunt you for years.
Years.
Okay. Joan Crawford plays her daughter.
Right.
And
Joan Crawford plays her sister.
Sister. And she's in a wheelchair.
Yes.
Now, fill in this blank for me because I want to make sure I'm right. What does Joan Crawford... what does Betty Davis do to Joan Crawford in that film?
Feeds her a rat.
And does she do anything else?
She does. Pushes her down the stairs.
Okay, it's true. Okay, good. Because that pushing down the stairs scene haunted me for years. Boom.
We just high-fived.
I couldn't believe it when you said it. It was like, after the whole SEAL testing, I was like, I'm sold. But now it's like, you tell me that Betty Davis was the source of your fears and agony and all that stuff.
For years.
That I couldn't get that scene out of my head. The idea that someone would push someone else down the stairs.
I'm so grateful that you connected with that film that way. That film is horrifying.
It is.
You know why the film is horrifying? It's horrifying for the same reason that Misery is horrifying.
Yes.
Because, and I will crack it open, and mind equals blown right now. Here it goes. Ready?
Here we go.
Here it goes. Because the person who's being tortured, James Caan by Annie Wilkes, and Joan Crawford by Betty Davis, is dependent.
Yes.
That's what it is to be an abusive home life. And it's a play on that. She doesn't have her legs. Joan Crawford. He doesn't have his legs.
I think maybe because I had such a bad memory of whatever happened to Baby Jane that I never even want to look at it again. And I appreciated Misery just for its own story,
right?
But I never quite picked that up about the idea that it's the very nature of abuse,
right?
To take someone who's dependent upon you and just keep beating them down and making them more dependent on you, which is that's terrifying. Did
I blow your mind on that one?
Very much so. Yeah,
that's it. That's the code to those two movies and why they're so horrifying.
Oh man, I don't know if I'll sleep tonight, but we'll move on anyway.
You can email me or call me. I'll go back into life coaching if you have any issues with that. Don't do my solution. We won't tip it here.
No.
But my solution to that, I found a solution in the show.
Yes, you did. But you'll have a little more of a proactive solution for somebody.
You. I won't have you do what I did. No way.
Dion Flynn, Part 1 from the People's Improv Theater. Just so much stuff going on there, and I'm so glad that we had a whole nother episode coming up to go over it, because you can just miss so much if you try to cram it into one episode. So there you go. We're going to have 2 episodes there. If you want to find out more about Dion, in the meantime, you can go to DionFlynn.com. That's DionFlynn.com. You can find him on Twitter at DionFly, no double N. You can find him on Facebook by going to facebook.com/DionFlynnOfficial. And, of course, you can find out more about him just by listening to Bring Your Own Lunch. Next week, we will have another part of this conversation with Dion, and it just gets more fun from there. So thanks, Dion. I look forward to bringing part 2 next week. And by the way, we do have on the website, just to get you primed, the sketch comedy show that Dion and Jimmy Fallon worked on back in Albany. And also, I managed to scrounge up a commercial for Seal Test ice cream. I actually remembered the commercial when I saw it on YouTube, and it brought back so many memories, just as much as when Dion mentioned it in his show. So take a look at that. That's at bringyourownlunch.com. And that about does it for another edition of Bring Your Own Lunch. Glad you can join us. Of course, we got to thank Banuba at banuba.net. That's BANOOBA. They are the folks that provide the music for the show. Go to their website, find out where they'll be performing live, download some of their music. They are just great. The New York Short Film Shootout returns to this theater, actually the former of this theater, the Treehouse Theater, on Tuesday, November 18th at 8 p.m. Go to nysfso.com to find out more about the event and how you can submit a film to our ongoing series. And, of course, you can go to treehousetheater@nyc.com to find out more about the venue. And you can always go to our website, bringyourownlunch.com. You can find us on Twitter at BYOL Podcast. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/bringyourownlunch. And, of course, please go to iTunes. Rate, review, subscribe. That's what helps us out a tremendous amount. More than you probably realize. So just do that for us, would you? And then tell 2 friends and tell them to tell 2 friends, and so on and so on and so on until we're all using the same shampoo. Stay tuned for the Jimmy Jack Cowpunch Hour, followed by Mansoor and the Fish. And until next Tuesday, when Dion Flynn returns, this is Dave. I'll see you next Tuesday. Seal Test.